Welcome back to the toy room, everybody. It's me, the Junkman, here to talk pop culture junk, Star Wars, all kinds of stuff. First up, like always, before we get started, help support this channel by going to the Patreon page. You can find the link in the description below. Once there, you can help support this channel and get a lot of exclusive stuff. And also, don't forget, we have t-shirts and more over at StarWarsJunk.net or thatjunkman.com. Now, let's get started. What are we going to talk about today? Star Wars? Toys? Movies? What about? Well, we're going to talk about something I grew up with that you don't really hear people talk about that much. Sure, it's kind of Star Wars related, but it's also more movies related. But it's also not just Star Wars. So what we're going to talk about today? Lunchboxes. Of course, this is a mini lunchbox, nothing like we had as a child. But I'm going to go through all the lunchboxes I had as a kid. I would get a new one each year. It was one of the best parts about going back to school. Around August, when everybody's doing Christmas shopping, sure, my mom would go out and buy me clothes, pencil supplies, but my favorite part of picking out back to the school was lunchboxes. And when I mean lunchboxes, I'm talking metal lunchboxes with a plastic handle and a thermos inside. This one doesn't have a thermos inside. In fact, it's got junk inside. No pun intended. So let's talk lunchboxes.
Don't you want a new lunchbox?
First up, kindergarten. Sadly, going to kindergarten, I didn't get a new lunchbox. I had to take a hand-me-down lunchbox. But overall, it was a pretty cool lunchbox. Let's take a look at the $6 Million Man. Now, my brother was a huge fan of this TV show. I knew it because he knew it, but I can't really remember much about it. For some reason, they never showed this back in reruns in the 80s, so once you saw it in the 70s, a lot of people forgot about it. And he's about 5 years older than me, so to him, $6 Million Man was the biggest show of the 70s. But I didn't mind taking this to school. I felt kind of cool with a $6 Million Man lunchbox. It was definitely probably the coolest lunchbox in class. But like all these lunchboxes, I love the design on it. But for some reason, they put just his head right in the center. I don't know why they did that. That's kind of goofy. But I remember drinking out of the $6 Million thermos. A lot of times it would have soup in it, but a lot of times it would just have something to drink. So I would drink out of it, and right there on the thermos, not just Steve Austin's head, but Oscar Goldman. I don't know why they just wanted to focus on the face so much. But that was my kindergarten lunchbox. It wasn't one of my own. So let's go to the first grade, to the first lunchbox I got to pick out by myself. And I'm sure it's no surprise which one I picked out. Star Wars. Look at this lunchbox. I love this. On one side, you had the stormtroopers questioning Obi-Wan Kenobi and Luke Skywalker about the droids they had. On the back side, an X-Wing flying around. This was the coolest lunchbox to have. And you had to have it to be the cool kid in class. Of course, you know I had it. I love this lunchbox. Sadly, I don't know what happened to it. I didn't keep it. In fact, there's only one lunchbox I had from my childhood that I still have today. And I wish I had it around here to show you. But we'll get to that. This was the Star Wars lunchbox. Came with a blue thermos with R2 and 3PO in it. I love this lunchbox. I don't know about you. Something about these lunchboxes, just looking at these photos, I can still smell it. You remember that smell? Metal smell that lunchbox had? Now, I'm not talking about you kids that had the plastic ones. I'm talking about, there was just a odor that came with these boxes. When you open it up to eat your peanut butter and ham sandwich, you could just smell it. That smell would just hit you. And seeing these photos or seeing one of these old lunchboxes really brings back that memory. It's funny how your mind can work like that. But that's it. The first real lunchbox I picked out all by myself. Star Wars. No surprise there. So let's go to the second grade. What did I carry my lunch around in? One of the best superheroes ever, Superman. And he was huge at this time because this was based on the movie. Came with a very cool thermos. I love this lunchbox. I'll admit that Superman hasn't really been a part of my life since then. I've watched it a few times, but I'm not a huge Superman fan of the old Superman movies. But back then, around the time this movie came out, everyone has Superman fever, including me. Traded in my first grade Star Wars lunchbox for my second grade Superman lunchbox. But don't worry, my love for Star Wars returned for the second grade. I know what you're saying, Junkman, you already talked about second grade. You had a Superman lunchbox. Well, I'll be honest with you, I failed the second grade. So I had to do the second grade again. And I couldn't do it again with the same lunchbox. Plus, this was a time for a new Star Wars movie, so I had to have it. The Empire Strikes Back lunchbox. This is probably the first lunchbox I actually remember taking to school. The other ones I remember having, but this one I remember being excited for school to start. And for a guy that's got to repeat the second grade, I could have been sad. I could have bummed out. But all I wanted to do was go back to school and let everyone see my Empire Strikes Back lunchbox. I wanted to be the hit of the class. I love this lunchbox with the blue look, the blue logo. It was a very nice lunchbox. And the thermos it came with had Yoda on it, so you felt like a Jedi Master every time you was eating your chicken noodle soup. But that's what I had for my second year in second grade, the Empire Strikes Back lunchbox. Finally, I got out of the second grade, on to the third grade. And if you don't know, by the way I talk, I'm a guy from the South, so this is a lunchbox I had to have. It wasn't a movie, it's based on a TV show, but everyone loved this show back in the 80s, especially if you grew up in the South. We're talking the Dukes of Hazzard lunchbox. I might find it a little funny today having a Confederate flag thermos, but back then, no one cared. Everyone loved the Dukes of Hazzard. White, black, yellow, green, didn't matter what color you was. Everybody loved the Duke boys until they changed Bo and Luke and got them stupid cousins, Vance and Corey Luke. Whew, that ruined the whole show. But I was a Dukes of Hazzard fanatic. I loved the Dukes of Hazzard. And more than that, I loved Enos. I remember when Enos had his own spin-off show. I could not wait to watch it, but I think it only came on 1 or 2 episodes, and then Enos was back on the Dukes of Hazzard. But I didn't only love Bo and Luke, I loved Daisy Duke. Who didn't love Daisy Duke? And best of all on the show was the General Lee. I loved the General Lee. I remember me and my friends talking about how we would love to have a horn or a bicycle that made that Dixie sound that the General Lee makes. Love this lunchbox. Well, I had a movie lunchbox and I had a TV lunchbox. So the 4th grade I went a little different with a video game lunchbox. And in the 4th grade I had Pac-Man fever, so I had to have a Pac-Man lunchbox. Who wouldn't love this thing? It's Pac-Man and it looks cool. Now honestly, between Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man, I love Miss Pac-Man more. It's just a more fun game because the board changes. But I was crazy about Pac-Man. Who wasn't crazy about Pac-Man in the 80s? I'll be honest with you, that summer before the 4th grade started, I found out that Amy Covey loved Pac-Man. So what did my 4th grade mind say? I'll buy a Pac-Man lunchbox. That'll get her attention. I could not wait to go to the first day of school and show up with my Pac-Man lunchbox. How could I not get her attention? How could I not get her to fall in love with me? A Pac-Man lunchbox, and she liked Pac-Man. And I think it would have worked if my friend Boyd didn't show up with his Care Bears lunchbox. He tries to say he just loves the Care Bears, but I think I knew what he was doing. He was trying to get Amy's attention because he knew she loved the Care Bears more than Pac-Man. I knew this, everyone knew this, because she had a Care Bears backpack. But I wasn't going to go to school for a whole year in a Care Bears lunchbox just to impress a girl. But Boyd would, and it worked. He got her attention on day 1. Me, I just sat in the back of the lunchroom, watching them two cut up, joke, laugh, talk about the Care Bears. Anyway, you don't want to hear about my lost love stories. You want to hear about lunchboxes. Well, in the 4th grade, the only time I'd done this, I got a new lunchbox in the middle of the year. I guess my plan didn't work to impress Amy Covey, although I did love Pac-Man. I needed something else. For Christmas, believe it or not, I asked for a lunchbox. And I got it. Masters of the Universe lunchbox. It might not win the attention of girls, but it won the attention of everybody else. Hey, look everybody, the Junk Kid's got a new lunchbox. Wow, what'd you get for Christmas, Junk Kid? A He-Man lunchbox. That's right, we call it He-Man. I know it's Masters of the Universe, but I always call it He-Man. Everybody called it He-Man. And this was cool. You had He-Man with his shield up, ready to fight. You had Skeletor on the thermos. I love this lunchbox. Pac-Man was gone. I was He-Man. If Amy Covey didn't like it, so what? I loved it. I was gonna no longer carry my sandwich in a metal case just to impress girls. This lunchbox was to impress myself. My He-Man Masters of the Universe lunchbox. And then came the 5th grade. And then came Star Wars again. New Star Wars movie, a new lunchbox. Of course, Return of the Jedi. I always loved the look of this lunchbox, but honestly, I was kind of disappointed that it came with a red thermos. It didn't match the lunchbox being a red thermos, and it had an Ewok on it. Now, I'm not an Ewok basher. I like the Ewoks, but as a boy in the 5th grade, you didn't want to be seen drinking yoo-hoo out of a Ewok thermos. I would have much rather had Luke or Han or one of the heroes on the thermos. And like I said, the thermos looked like it didn't even match the lunchbox. But I had the Return of the Jedi lunchbox. I did love it. Although again, my only other problem with this is it's kind of like a cartoon version of the movie instead of the other Star Wars lunchboxes that use actual scenes from the film. And then came the 6th grade. No more Star Wars movies. So what does the guy run out to carry his lunch in? An Indiana Jones Temple of Doom lunchbox. Now this is the lunchbox I remember the most. I guess because I was older, I just have a better memory of it. And this is the one lunchbox I still have. I look for it today. It's put up somewhere. I wish I need to get it out here and put it on show because I love this lunchbox. This is the lunchbox I remember having. 6th grade, there was nothing better than my Indiana Jones lunchbox. I love this lunchbox. It still looks very cool. All these lunchboxes look cool. That's one thing about these lunchboxes. I would love to start collecting lunchboxes now because they just look amazing. And like I said, the smell alone brings you back to being a kid. But I love the Indiana Jones lunchbox with Motor Ram on the side of it, Indiana Jones on the front, Willie Scott and Short Round and Indy on the back. I love this lunchbox. But I never did see a Raiders of the Lost Ark lunchbox. I don't remember having one as a kid, and I tried to Google it and didn't see one either. Why didn't they make a Raiders lunchbox? Not really sure, but I'm really glad they made a Temple of Doom one. And that takes me out of elementary school, puts me in the 7th grade. What did I carry my 7th grade lunch in? A brown bag. Hey, I was becoming a teenager. I couldn't be walking around with lunch boxes anymore. This was middle school. All the cool kids carried their lunch in a brown bag. Boy came to school with a Gremlins lunchbox. Now, looking back, that's pretty cool, I guess, a Gremlins lunchbox. I wouldn't mind having it, but I wasn't going to take it to middle school with me. So I brown bagged it until I got to high school, and then I was one of those kids that was too cool to eat lunch. We would just hang outside with the motorheads and the potheads and the smokers. Yeah, there used to be a smokers area in high school. I didn't smoke, but that's where all the cool people hung out at. But there's also another reason besides middle school why I turned away from lunch boxes. Somewhere between 6th grade and 7th grade, lunch boxes broke my heart. The metal lunchbox that I was used to started to turn plastic, or I think they're more of a vinyl. You no longer had that creaking sound when you open the top of it. You no longer had that metal smell. It just wasn't the same. Who wants to carry a plastic tub around with them with their food in it? And the ironic thing is, people went to plastic because they said it was more safe and cheaper, of course. But in 2002, the Center of Health discovered that the vinyl used for these lunchboxes contained a dangerous level of lead. Not the metal ones, the plastic ones had a dangerous level of lead. So around 2002, most of the ones on the shelf was recalled. But to me, a lunchbox is a metal lunchbox. I never got the whole plastic thing. I love my lunchbox. I don't know about you, but I love the lunchbox. It was part of my childhood. It was something I really look forward to each year going back to school. What about you? What lunchbox did you carry? Let me know in the comments below. I'm sure there were some really cool ones out there. We didn't get to pick out our clothes much back then. You know, your parents would tell you what to wear, but your lunchbox was you. You had to find one that you liked and one that fit your personality. You had to put it out there when you went to lunch. Hey everybody, look, I'm a fan of this. Hey, look everybody, I carry my lunch in this. I love this. Your lunchbox said a lot about you. When you walked down that hall to the lunchroom, you had to have in your hand something that represented you. And I had that from Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Pac-Man, $6 Million Man, all of them lunchboxes. Well, I want to thank you for watching. Let me know what lunchbox you had as a kid. And if you grew up on the plastic lunchboxes, I'm sorry, you missed out. Thank you for watching. We'll be back very soon with another video. Until then, head over to StarWarsJunk.net. Thanks.
a little lunchbox, lunchbox.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.